This shows how C418 was stabbed in the front by Microsoft just for wanting to own the rights to the music that he made for Minecraft. How could they be so unreasonable? But more importantly, is it actually true? What we do know is that C418 has finished producing an entire album of music he wanted to release for Minecraft, and also that Mojang has been deliberately not releasing that and instead producing music from Lena Raine and Kuma. This is a really interesting situation, and how did we get here and what is actually happening? Let's dive into the full story, starting with the proof that Daniel Rosenfeld, or C418, really has produced new music for Minecraft.
Is there still a third volume of the soundtrack in the works, or are you still, have you just kind of moved on to other things?
That's hard to say. I have something. I consider it finished, but things have become complicated, especially because Minecraft is now a big property, so I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
So he does have the third version of the Minecraft soundtrack, presumably called Delta or Full Release. You be the pick of what would be a better pick for this third album. However, he cannot release it, and in fact, he says that he can't even really talk about it very much.
And I think I can't talk much more than that about that.
So he's obviously avoiding making a big deal of a public statement, because presumably the deals he's talking about with Mojang are very much NDA'd. He's not allowed to go public and talk about them. However, he has made these comments on his Discord, hinting even more that yes, he still wants to do stuff for Minecraft, but he's just not managed to get an agreement with the big guys. And then even more directly saying that he has nightmares about this, like once a month, but the good thing about the change of pace, i.e. not working on Minecraft, is that he's working on cool that is creatively fulfilling and doesn't involve talking to 10 lawyers. He does say that Mojang is still good people and nothing about this has to do with them, implying it is very much something he sees as a Microsoft problem, and then also says that this whole experience has been traumatizing to say the least. This is awful. The person who is responsible behind making some of the most iconic sounds in Minecraft, the reason that this is a beautiful sight, rather than being still beautiful but sounding just a bit off by being like this. It's just a massive shame they haven't managed to come to an agreement with one of the people who are undoubtedly important in making Minecraft successful, especially in the sound department. And you might think, wow, Microsoft are being super unreasonable. However, if you look at the caliber of people they have to replace it, Lena Raine and Kuma, honestly, I would say that this is not like they are giving such unreasonable terms that people don't want to do it, because if they can attract an industry-leading composer like Lena Raine is, she's famous for making the soundtrack to one of the other best indie games in the last couple decades, and so to see like them actually getting super high quality composers does imply that what is it that C418 wants that these people do not? Are they giving these people better deals than they're trying to give C418? I actually highly doubt it. In fact, I would say that these people are likely hired on industry standard terms, maybe being compensated above the normal because they're working on the literal biggest video game of all time. These aren't a few $100s or a few $1,000s here or there. They're likely being paid big 5-digit amounts per song. However, it doesn't matter how well they're paying per song, and we don't know what the actual rate is. It might be different for all of the composers, but no matter how high it is, this is likely not the point of contention in the contract. Usually these sorts of deals, especially when it comes to Microsoft and Minecraft, are not about the amounts being involved, but about the rights that come with it. Because Microsoft screwing over the people who helped make the game successful isn't a new thing. I mean, Julian Gao made one of the most iconic parts of Minecraft as we know it today, the end poem. It's one of the weirder, wackier parts that makes defeating the game truly one of the best feelings. However, despite that fact, he only got paid once 20,000 euros, and based on this blog post where he jealously followed Mojang and saw every time that Notch got paid billions and the staff all got paid hundreds of thousands, he expected to be paid more at some point, but Microsoft, rather than paying him this larger amount, basically just ignored him because they legally figured they didn't have to pay him anything. And the same thing could be argued for 4J Studios. They made the best console port of any game for years, but despite that, they were relegated to being a marketplace team on par with these people, and honestly, this all looks bad. This looks like, big corporation buys small indie studio and then starts stabbing people in the back, but I think you could see this from a different angle. Like, if you were to buy Minecraft today, maybe you would be super holistic about it, but ultimately, they did give Mojang a lot of money, the shareholders, which mostly were Notch and his other co-founders, but still, they all got got a lot of money in exchange for their share, and so then they work on making a better product, ideally speaking. Better is definitely loose, but they work on making Bedrock, and they also work on making it a better monetized product. So this is where the marketplace comes in, this is where all the merch deals they do come in, and presumably this is also where they look at things like contracts with composers and say, wait a minute, we make this music famous. C418's music is famous because it is included in Minecraft, just as much as Minecraft music is famous because it's from C418, but they take this music, which they make famous by being in one of the biggest games of all time, and then C418 is the one making all the residuals on it. If you don't know, if you listen to C418's music on YouTube or Spotify, or you buy it on Amazon, you are buying it from C418 himself because he owns the rights to the music. This is a deal that would make sense for the indie game that Minecraft was when it was composed, that had a few tens of thousands of copies sold, but now that it's selling hundreds of millions of copies and the soundtrack is a huge revenue driver for that game, why are they just giving this money away to someone they're also presumably going to pay to make the tracks? This would perfectly explain why it's a conversation that needs to be had with lawyers. C418 is probably just saying, I would like to make the same music under the same terms that we had back in 2011. It was a very loose agreement where he just made stuff for the game, whereas Microsoft is saying, no, we're an entirely different property now. We want you to agree to these commercial agreements and give us these rights to what you make. We'll pay you money for what you do, but you can't expect to have those rights because we'll find other people who are perfectly happy with just the money, whereas C418 is saying in return, no, I'm an artist, I deserve to own the rights to what I make. You can actually see C418's side from what he said regarding how Minecraft expected him to make minigame music. There's a whole fun revelation about that we'll have to come back to towards the end of the video, but you can see Microsoft's side because when you work for a company, when you are a Minecraft developer and you make a new feature, you don't own those features, Minecraft does. In the same way that when a Minecraft developer makes a new feature, whether that's the Warden, or whether that's the Cherry Blossom biome, or whether that's just abandoned mineshafts on the surface, they don't say, yeah, as a developer, you get to own that portion of Minecraft forever, we'll always only use it with your permission. They say, yeah, well, we paid you for your time, we'll pay you to make the feature, but then it belongs to us as a part of our game. And obviously there's a big debate about what should corporations own from you and your time? Should they own your side projects, etc.? But I think it's at the very least fair to say that if a corporation is paying for your time, and while you're on their time, the things you make sort of belong to them because they're paying you under the prediction that you can make those things. The only thing that changes and gets a lot messier is when those people are used to being paid for not just their time, or maybe not their time at all, but instead for their contribution. And especially when they made a really good bet on saying, yeah, I'll just sell the music to this little indie game you have, and it turns out to be a much bigger thing, you can see how this would go very differently. I think it's easy to be critical of this, but try and see it from Microsoft's perspective, or even your perspective as an end user. You want Minecraft to be the best game that it can be. You want the most people possible, or the most amount of man-hour possible going into making this game better, and so if Microsoft overpays as far as they're concerned, instead of giving someone a few $1,000s like they think it's worth, they pay millions of dollars via lost revenue, that is a bad way of spending money, because if they get that revenue, they could theoretically spend it on hiring more people. I mean, right now, according to LinkedIn, Mojang has 713 employees. That is a ridiculous payroll bill, and presumably, you don't want to then be giving up your sources of revenue, and instead you want to be stacking all the way on that. Honestly, there's an interesting debate here about, who should own the rights to what you make? Should it be the person making the thing, or should it be the corporation who pays you to do so? In an ideal society, you could have some version of split rights where you owned it, but you just couldn't have certain commercial rights to it. But ultimately, that is a big debate that comes up. However, I think that Microsoft is missing the beat a bit here. Obviously, this has benefited us as the end users because we wouldn't have had Pigstep or any of the other amazing hits that have come out of Minecraft over the last few updates if it weren't for this happening. However, I do think that Minecraft and Microsoft should start looking at this sort of stuff and saying that, yeah, this is happening far too often. Not only is this affecting people who made key parts of the game, entire studios and writers and their composer, but also a lot of Minecraft employees who were pivotal in making the Minecraft we know today have stepped back from or just left the company altogether. Do you remember Tommaso, as well as Argo Major, two pivotal parts of Minecraft Pocket Edition from back in the day. Do you remember Maria Lemon and Henrik Nieberg? And honestly, the list is ridiculous if you look at how many employees have left, and some of those employees are just going on to bigger and better things. But if they're not retaining some of their best talents, then that's a sign they're doing something wrong. Ultimately, if you're not compensating people fairly enough that they want to do something for you, that is bad for you as well as for them, especially when you're talking about some of the people who have worked on some of the craziest features that exist in Minecraft. I mean, Darn Geek was pivotal to Minecraft on the phones ever getting any form of multiplayer, and Johan Birdson was the person who worked on making breeding work alongside a whole host of other features. When you have super productive, super key players and you're losing them, when you're losing a whole volume of music from C418 solely because you can't, agree that because he started making things earlier, maybe you should have a different deal, or even you just can't agree on an amount of money to pay him. Maybe you just gotta say, look, this is worth $500,000, $1,000,000. You're Mojang. You literally have millions of dollars pouring in every single day. It is worth spending the money to make a better product, and that is something that they get in some ways with staff salaries, but it's something they don't get in many other ways, and we're gonna have to wait and see how that actually ends up for them. For now, though, I'm just going to enjoy my favorite Minecraft music by my favorite transgender furry. That is a true fact, by the way. For now, I'd just like to give you the reminder that no matter what happens with all of this, Minecraft will eventually die someday, just like we all will die someday, and there's a beautiful mug you can buy at ibxtoycat.store that will commemorate that. And I do think this is one of the very few experiences where you can get a mug and then buy one and then get one totally for free. It's not just a mug that you get for your purchase, you get two mugs that remind you you're going to die someday, so you can die with someone you love. Speaking of dying with someone you love, I want to come back to the minigame situation because it didn't perfectly fit into this video, but it is a fun reminder of the, the C418 Minecraft situation, the art versus business debacle, because as it turns out, Minecraft 4J Studios approached C418 to make the minigame music first. This is something you actually can't technically confirm, but in the exact same interview where he's talking about the contract disputes, very close to the end, he spoke about another company that asked him to make minigame music. And although we could argue there are other companies involved with Minecraft that have minigame music, it seems very likely that it's 4J Studios because he then mentions that the person who did make it was Gareth Coker.
What are your thoughts on Gareth Coker's Minecraft music?
See, I haven't listened to it.
Okay, there you go. That's beef right there. That's disrespect.
The reason why Gareth wrote the music is because the company in charge of Minecraft at the time, which wasn't Mojang, was some different company, they wanted to make two different DLC and they wanted to have a full soundtrack for each. And I am an enemy of crunch. Crunch, I think, is the worst thing that is in this games industry. So I wrote the soundtrack for one DLC, but I refused to write anything else for the other, and then they hired Gareth.
So C418 hints that he made the music for one set of tracks, and then after they asked him to make two in quick succession, he said he can't do that so quick, and it does seem, when you look at the dates for the battle minigame early releases, that they were releasing them quite quickly, and he was not happy with that. And you can also see that those same maps released with Gareth Coker music, which is now public and has an official name. However, the first 4 minigame tracks are, public, but they don't have an artist officially attached, and also they don't have an official name yet. This makes it extremely likely that the 4 battle minigame tracks that we first saw were actually made by C418. This is something that is not very widely known about, and so these 4 tracks made by C418 probably don't have a name yet because they're part of Minecraft's Volume 3, the Charlie, the Delta, the Gamma album. The next Minecraft album contains these 4 battle mode tracks, and so if you want to listen to it a bit early, then the music's on YouTube. Go back and watch some battle minigame. We all want to. That's a thing we've got to do. Honestly, this is making me nostalgic. I want to go back and play some minigames. If you want to play some minigames, then you can do so by hitting the subscribe button. I lied to you. That's how you subscribe to my channel. But what I'm not lying to you about is the fact that this video's over. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found this little tidbit about minigames interesting, because wow, did you know that C418 made the music? I didn't. Anyway, yeah, have a good day. Goodbye.